He's got a great left jab and a great, powerful left hook. He's a legitimate 147-pounder, fought up at 154, can fight at middleweight as well. This guy is taking on Manny Pacquiao, who's a smaller guy. He's going to be 4 inches taller than Manny. He's probably going to be about 10 pounds heavier than Manny at the start of the fight. As you see Manny getting the gloves put on now by Freddie Roach, his trainer, who Freddie trained, as you well know, the storyline by now, Oscar De La Hoya for the Mayweather fight, and Oscar blamed the fight plan on Freddie. Freddie says, no, I know why he lost that fight, and he's not taking responsibility for it. So with that said, it's an interesting team that Freddie Roach has trained Manny Pacquiao. Of course, he's been with Pacquiao for all of his fights. Here's Michael Buffer.
As we prepare for the dream match, please rise and remain silent for 3 national anthems. First, as we honor the home country of Manny Pacquiao, here to sing the Philippine national anthem, please welcome the lovely and talented Karel.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pa sisiil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw. May dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watat, at mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya, kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw, ng luwalhati't pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pagmay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to honor the heritage and ancestry of Oscar De La Hoya and all the Mexican-American and Mexican fans in attendance and watching around the world, here to sing the Mexican national anthem, please welcome recording star Cristian Castro.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero a prestar y el bridón, y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciño patria, tus sienes de oliva, de la paz del arcángel divino, en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios se escribió. Mas si osare un extraño enemigo profanar con sus plantas tu suelo, piensa, oh patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero a prestar y el bridón, y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Muchas gracias. ¡Que viva México!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to honor the United States of America and with dedication to all the men and women now serving in harm's way the world over. Here to sing the national anthem, please welcome recording superstar Miss Keisha Cole.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Plenty of enthusiasm with the national anthem. David, did you notice there's a considerable population of Filipinos here in Las Vegas? As you take a look at the tail of the tape, it'll tell us a few things, and they were singing and going on pretty good. Everything in favor of De La Hoya except the age. Of course, he's 6 years older than Pacquiao, who's in the prime of his career. He's 4 inches taller. He's going to have at least 3 pounds in advantage, and most think it'll be as much as 10 pounds in advantage in weight if they're actually weighing in tonight, but that's the official weight, 145 to 142, and he'll have 5 inches in reach advantage over Manny Pacquiao. The rules under which this fight will be contested, David, take a look.
No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell at all. Only the referee can stop the fight. Physicians have input, and if the accidental butt rule needs to come into play, it will be after 4 rounds.
So the stage is just about set. We're glad that you're going to be watching wherever you are around the world. We're glad that you're with us for this, what is all but a championship fight. It's certainly a classic matchup at 147 pounds between Oscar De La Hoya and 4-time world champ Manny Pacquiao. Both of these men one day will be headed to the Hall of Fame, most assuredly, for what they've accomplished already in their careers. Ricky Hatton and several other fighters are on hand here. All kinds of celebrities from Hollywood and the fight scene on hand here for this fight. Here's Manny Pacquiao, who has been declared a national treasure in his home country of the Philippines. They absolutely love him, and Hall of Fame referee Bruce McTavish tells me that between the some 80 and 90 million people that live in the Philippines, you won't see anybody in the streets right now. They're all watching television to see this guy fight.
That's right, and you know what's amazing now, Colonel, is he will enter the ring heavier than Oscar De La Hoya. He's 148.5 pounds. Oscar only went up to 147. So the whole idea about the bigger man, ironically, when they go in there, Manny Pacquiao will be a little bigger than Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, and that dispels what the experts said, that De La Hoya might weigh as much as 160 coming in. Here comes Manny Pacquiao. Of the David Diaz fight, he stopped Diaz in the 9th round to win the WBC lightweight title. That was here in Las Vegas at 135 pounds. And earlier in March, he won a split decision over Juan Manuel Marquez at 130 pounds. You know his history, tremendous work rate, exceptional fast hands. We've talked all about the fact coming up in weight. He'll attempt to keep his work rate so fast for the full 3 minutes of each round and concentrate on winning that each individual round. That's his game plan, his fight plan, as told to me by Freddie Roach.
And somewhere in there, however, will be the need to hurt Oscar De La Hoya and to make him respect him a lot. I think that will have to come into play for Manny Pacquiao as well. We're not used to seeing him in the mosquito role to just stick and run. Power is a big part of his game.
Manny's been in big fights before, 2 times against Marco Antonio Barrera, 3 big fights against Eric Morales. He won 2 of those. Turned pro in January of '95 with a win over Edmund Ignacio in the Philippines. And since then, he has become a national treasure in the Philippine Islands. A great kid, always carries the rosary beads into the ring with him. It's a symbol of Manny. He's so popular, many people are afraid that he's going to give all his wealth away to the poor because he came up on the hard streets in the Philippines. And here comes Oscar De La Hoya, one of the most popular professional fighters in the world of boxing today, as indicated by the amount of money he generates in pay-per-view events. Everybody wants to fight Oscar. And Ricky Hatton is here hoping that De La Hoya can win because it's a bigger fight in Europe, in England, than would be a Pacquiao fight over there, although a Pacquiao fight would be just as entertaining for the boxing aficionados. But for the world, this is the guy that generates the big pay-per-view bucks. Great jab, great left hook. He's got Nacho Beristain working with him, and Nacho has a great history working with dozens and dozens of great fighters. Probably the greatest fighter he ever trained, a relatively unknown guy who was one of the best fighters that I've ever seen, Infinito Lopez, the great lighter weight fighter. He fought at 105 pounds and on up, and just a tremendous fighter.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Michael Buffer has just introduced Oscar De La Hoya to the crowd in attendance. The Mexicans, and there's a large Mexican population here in Nevada as well. They've turned out to see him. And of course, the wealthy Mexicans come up from Mexico to see him. Here he comes, Oscar De La Hoya. Got to match Manny's work rate. Great atmosphere in here, Dave.
Can't beat the electricity.
Well,
Different demeanors, Colonel, with Manny Pacquiao coming in smiling, and Oscar De La Hoya with a grim determination on his face as he walked in.
And Oscar's a guy that always has a smile on his face, but there's no smiling. This is business for him tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the MGM Grand of Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, Golden Boy Promotions and Top Rank Incorporated are proud to present the main event of the evening, the Dream Match. 12 rounds of boxing in the welterweight division. Brought to you in association with HBO Pay-Per-View and MP Promotions, and sponsored by Cazadores, the one with the deer on it, Tecate, Cerveza con Character, DeWalt Tools, guaranteed tough, Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees, and full throttle. Go full throttle or go home. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Bill Brady, Executive Director Keith Kaiser. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout. Should it go the distance? Adelaide Bird, Stanley Christodoulou, and Dave Moretti. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action at the bell, Tony Weeks. And now, for the thousands in attendance, and the millions watching around the world. May the best man win. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red and white, officially weighing 142 pounds, professional record 52 fights, 47 victories including 35 knockouts with 3 defeats and 2 even. Ladies and gentlemen, the former flyweight world champion, former junior featherweight world champion, former super featherweight world champion and current lightweight champion of the world from General Santos City, the fighting pride of the Philippines and #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Manny Pacman Pacquiao. Fighting out of the red corner, wearing burgundy and gray, official weight 145 pounds. Since capturing Olympic gold, his professional record stands at 44 fights, 39 victories including 30 knockouts with 5 defeats and 10 world titles. Ladies and gentlemen, the former junior lightweight, former lightweight, former super lightweight, former 2-time welterweight, former 2-time junior middleweight, and former middleweight champion of the world, the Golden Boy from East LA, Oscar Dela.
Atmosphere absolutely sensational here. The MGM Grand, as Tony Weeks calls them in.
You both received your instructions in your dressing room. Okay, look, if it goes right here, it's okay. Anything below that's low. Right here is okay, anything below that's low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourself at all times. Let's go.
All right, so we're set to go, Dave. I don't know about you, but there's no place in the world I'd rather be than right here, right now.
Goosebumps.
That's it.
Electricity, and you know, Manny Pacquiao, you're always expecting him to come flying out there and throwing something huge. And let's see if that's what he does here against Oscar.
And a lot of people think that's what Oscar has to do, too, is come out real fast and fight every minute of every round himself. Will there be any filling out process, or will they go right to it? Oscar starts the test with the right hand upstairs. Manny continues to circle to his left. Nobody's committed to anything hard just yet.
You'll watch Oscar for the right hand lead down the chute against Manny's southpaw style as Pacquiao clips him. Also the double left hook, and Oscar De La Hoya is a great left hook artist to the body.
And on the breaks, watch the uppercuts off the hands of De La Hoya. Oscar knows how to fight southpaws. Manny tries to touch him up with the jab, but you can see the reach is significant for De La Hoya. And the cheers go up. A battle between the Filipinos and the Mexicans.
Right here in the United States.
Right. Manny caught him. Oscar hasn't landed anything significant here in the first round, so in the first minute he hasn't just thrown caution to the wind and made Manny feel his power yet. But Oscar can set up that left hand. A little bit of abrasion on the nose of Oscar De La Hoya already. Oscar blasts the left side of the body of Manny downstairs. Manny has a tendency to bounce and skip, and if he throws that left hand down the middle, he can catch Oscar at times with the left hand down the middle. But right now he's concentrating on positioning, Dave.
And De La Hoya with the right hand glued to his chin, expecting Pacquiao to throw the big straight left hand down the middle. And it's been tried a couple times, and De La Hoya has managed to smother those shots.
Manny touches him up with his jab that time. There's a left hand lead for Manny, which is his power shot for the southpaw. 2 minutes gone. De La Hoya's not winning the first round at this point, in my opinion.
That looks a little roughed up around the nose area, too. Some good, sneaky shots getting through by Pacquiao.
Now Oscar opens up for the first time. Catches Pacquiao to the right temporal bone as Pacquiao is bent over. You know, part of the philosophy for smaller guys is sometimes to make yourself smaller, like Whittaker used to do, and if Pacquiao can bend way down when Oscar comes in, as he showed that time, it can be a difficult angle for Oscar. Oscar's short with his punches in spite of the fact of his reach.
And there's Pacquiao darting back out of trouble and then into the punching range. And his speed has probably been a little bit of a surprise for Oscar so far.
Well, it's significantly different in his speed. Oscar short with the jab again, last few seconds of the round. Oscar tries to open up, but Manny makes him miss. Caught him with the right hand there, but not significantly. And here comes the bell to end the first round. I give that to Pacquiao. Now remember, the official judges are Adelaide Bird of Las Vegas and Dave Moretti of Las Vegas, an old friend, the Hall of Fame referee and judge Stanley Christodoulou of South Africa. And Stan and I usually see eye to eye in scoring. We're usually right together as we came up together years ago.
Boxing, very important. You've got to keep your back off the ropes. When you feel the ropes coming up,
Vayas buscando, él no puede hacer nada más que recto o gancho. Y ya lo viste que se tropieza, todo no sabe qué hacer. Claro. Más vivo, con seguridad, tu jab. Y vivo porque se va a apalancar con la izquierda en un momento determinado. Tienes que quitarla.
And here is Pacquiao on the right side of his screen. Good straight left hand getting through, then ducking down to miss the counter from Oscar De La Hoya.
Oscar looked almost a little awkward with some of his punches in the first round. Here we go, round number 2. Let's see if he tries to put some pressure on Manny Pacquiao now. You heard Freddie Rhodes say, as soon as you feel those ropes, get off there. And he gets off by hitting Oscar.
Now, Oscar De La Hoya looked tight in the opening round.
He looks tight right now, too. And Manny nails him with the right hand. You know, Oscar was a natural southpaw, so he's got considerable power with his left hand, but he hasn't been able to land it yet. Manny's landed the heavier blows and more blows to this point. Little side-to-side dip. So far, things are working for Manny Pacquiao as Oscar can't touch him up. The quickness of foot, the movement of his head, and the hand speed.
Now watch when De La Hoya moves to his left to cut off the ring. That is when Pacquiao charges him. And he will not let the ring be cut off. When Oscar moves to his left, watch and see if Pacquiao then decides that's the time to charge.
A minute gone in the second round. So far, Manny Pacquiao looks like he's outboxing Oscar De La Hoya, to my way of thinking. Oscar missing with the jab, jab, jab. So that stiff left hand and jab ticketed for the head of Manny, and Manny bobbing, weaving, diving, ducking, is not being hit by the jab at all. Oscar's got to get a piece of him. If I'm him, I got to step up the inside, catching him in the chest. You got to get a piece of him.
Let's start there. Yeah, get inside. He wants the right hand lead against Pacquiao, but Pacquiao is really quick with his feet.
Oscar fighting a little on the flat-footed side. Manny right up on his toes.
Yeah, it's magic so far for Pacquiao, his ability to go in and out.
And in spite of the fact that Oscar had Angelo Dundee advising him, it was Angelo always used to say, hit and don't get hit, in and out, and that's exactly the way Manny Pacquiao is fighting right now. There's the uppercut. Straight left hand.
Well, he is sharpshooting here, and he's showing extraordinary patience. He lands his best shot, then he gets out.
I'm surprised that Oscar didn't force the fight a little bit more here in the early going. I really thought he'd try to test his power shots against this guy, but he can't catch up with him.
No, he cannot get inside and work that body and set up the rest of the fight.
Well, he can't hit him with the jab, seemingly, and without being able to touch him up with the jab, you're going to have a difficult time with the right hand. Of course, one big punch with the left hook can change the course of this fight in a minute. In a second, I should say. There was a left hook that got through that time, but it was with an outstretched hand of Oscar. There was no power behind it. So Pacquiao's movement is the difference in this fight, and it's extraordinary. Well, the quicker pound for pound guy is 1-2 on my score sheet.
He's doing a great job thus far.
Porque le das oportunidad de que trabaje su velocidad. Tira, llavea y tírale. Al cuerpo, arriba y rematas abajo. Pero no camines hacia adelante buscándolo sin tirarle golpes, porque le das todo el margen a él. Claro. Tírale. De 45, izquierda, derecha, open, izquierda.
Good boy. Whoops. Keep boxing him. You're making it hard. Now you make it hard to find you, and he's taking chances. He's starting to make mistakes.
Nahihirapan siya paghanap sa'yo pag gano'n na ginagalaw mo.
Keep boxing smart. In and out, side to side.
Well, the directions by Freddie Roach, in and out, side to side, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's executing the fight plan to a T. This is round 3. The Colonel Bob Sheridan with Dave Bontempo. MGM Grand Garden Arena facing you, Manny Pacquiao. To the left of your screen, Oscar De La Hoya.
De La Hoya out-punched in the power department, 2-1 so far by Pacquiao, who has shown infinite quickness, the good movement on the angles, and then delivered the payload after he's made Oscar De La Hoya miss. And you see some tentative qualities in these shots by Oscar De La Hoya. They're coming up a little short because of the speed of Pacquiao.
Pacquiao has landed some power upstairs to Oscar because he's swollen around the eyes and on the cheeks. And his jab, really doesn't seem to have that kind of power. And as I say that, he finally is able to get the jab to the face of Manny Pacquiao. With just about a minute gone here in round 3, this has been the best minute of the fight for De La Hoya, but he really hasn't capitalized on it any. Pacquiao still working, trying to get in and out, looking for his opportunity to attack.
And this is when Pacquiao is in front of De La Hoya, and he's trying now to cash in. The lead right hand is there for him. He's trying to go through the Pacquiao jab and get that right hand in, and he's starting to load up with it now.
Oscar loaded up a couple of shots, and both were taken on the back of the gloves of Manny Pacquiao.
No, but it shows where Oscar De La Hoya's fight plan is headed.
Straight left hand down the middle, snap the head back of Oscar. Oscar hasn't done enough to win the first 2 minutes of this round, although he's had a better round 3 than the first 2. How many rounds can you allow Pacquiao to put in the bank, though?
A 12-round fight, if you allow 3, then you would have to win. You have to win 7 of the next 9. Yeah. That's how big a 3-0 lead is.
.45 seconds to go in the 3rd round.
Now the harder shots have been De La Hoya's in this round. Pacquiao has landed more.
Manny with a good body shot to the left side of the rib cage of Oscar. Oscar's still very flat-footed. Pacquiao's down on his heels a little bit more, but he's picking his shots. Nice head movement, making a difficult target of that left hand for Oscar. Oscar, you're right, Dave, is tentative with the right hand. He's gonna let that right hand fly down the middle.
Yeah, he shortened it up. He shortened it up, didn't trust it.
I mean, he can't be afraid of the power of this guy. That'll be a round to remember. I mean, I'm leaning towards Oscar De La Hoya for that round.
You could give it to him, and that looks like that might go as a split because Pacquiao landed a lot of good body shots in the last minute.
Give me one deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Come on, do it right.
That's it. Got to remember that 3rd round, Dave, that it could go either way on the judges' score sheets. Because if people judge it for Pacquiao, he's got a prohibitive lead with 3 rounds after 3 rounds. And you explained to him how much more Oscar would have to come back. It's Freddie.
Lead out. Use your face a little bit more.
Here's Manny Pacquiao, the straight leaping left hand. Look at that off the move. And how do you get that shot through a lead shot on Oscar De La Hoya?
Let's go, Freddie.
The quickness, he poises, gets through. Throws a shot that was unexpected.
And if Oscar can't land the jab because of the movement is what Freddie Roach said true. Is Oscar having trouble getting off? You know, it's something you got to question at this stage right now. We don't know. There's a lot of fight left. This is round 4. Oscar to the right, Manny Pacquiao with his back to you. MGM Grand Garden Arena. The obvious hand speed of Pacquiao is just that. It's so obvious. The left hand down the middle. For the right-handed fighter, they say you throw the right hand down the middle of the southpaw. Conversely speaking, the southpaw does the same thing. Left-hand power shot down the middle, and he caught Oscar. Oscar's left jab is not accurate. He hasn't been able to plant the right hand.
And he's paid a price every time he stops. Pacquiao circles. Oscar De La Hoya stops, and that's when Pacquiao hits him off the stop. And with Pacquiao moving like this, you see that it's been hard for De La Hoya to locate that lead right hand he wants.
And already different from the Stevie Forbes fight, where Stevie was fighting the fight of his life. He couldn't manage to win any rounds, or many rounds, if any, against Oscar. And Manny Pacquiao is certainly more than holding his own.
And just getting bolder as he sets up everything with good movement outside and then comes charging De La Hoya inside. And so far, it is a beautiful fight by Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, and Manny's seeing the right hand of Oscar, meaning that maybe Freddie's right, too, that Oscar's not able to get it off with the, you know, the sharpness that he once could, because it seems like every time he throws the right hand, Manny's dipping and making, even when he lands, there's a right hand crisp in the jaw of De La Hoya.
And Pacquiao's getting bolder, coming toward De La Hoya and getting more into those shots.
See, Oscar's trying to step up into the jab, but look at how tentative it is there as he just puts it out. Right hand misses, and Manny just parries it up. All those jabs, about 5 or 6 of nothing landed. And that's just a little head movement of Manny, and now he comes in and unleashes an assault to the body. Nothing powerful, but this is.
Yeah, in terms of power, Oscar De La Hoya has already been touched up more by Manny Pacquiao than he was against Floyd Mayweather for the whole fight.
Pacquiao is doing, and clearly doing more, in my opinion, than Mayweather did in the fight. Mayweather got the split decision. Pacquiao's
he hurt him there.
Caught him with the uppercut. Oscar's having a tough time right now with Manny Pacquiao.
It's a 4-to-1 ratio in power punches this round for Pacquiao, and this is a defining round in the fight.
Good body shot, a little bit south of the border. Tony Weeks right on top of him, says, keep him up, Manny. But you'd expect that with a guy that's some 4 inches taller. That's a Pacquiao round, anyway
That's a big Pacquiao round.
And remember, it's not definitive that De La Hoya gets round 3.
Yep.
I put it down because I thought some judges would, but it's not definitive that he gets the 3rd round.
Tiene todo el cuerpo descubierto y no le tira, tírale derecha al cuerpo, tira tu 45 también, izquierda, derecha, sin duda, no dudes. Lo que pasa es que es más ligerito, es más rápido, que está ganando los golpes, pero tira, porque si te quedas ahí parado, llevas 4 rounds perdidos. ¿Oíste?
Mabasa yung galaw mo.
Don't just walk in behind the feint and the head movement and the bit of jab. A little bit of movement. He can't handle your speed, son.
That's obviously the game plan. He can't handle his speed, and he hasn't been able to.
And because of that, Pacquiao out-punching De La Hoya, almost 3-to-1 in the power department. 60% landed, and when you get up and you keep that percentage, that's when fights get stopped.
All right, this is round number 5. De La Hoya is going to have to do something sensational here. And straight right hand caught a piece of Manny that time, and he's going to open up. He's going to put his ears back, throw caution to the wind, and try to start nailing this guy with some power shots. So Manny's going to walk away with this thing, outboxing him. Freddie Roach said, just make sure you have the head movement coming in and coming out. And Freddie is the type of guy that gives 1 or 2 instructions to his fighter in between rounds. And Manny is a coachable guy and follows what Freddie says.
Yeah, from the moment we saw him entering the building, Oscar De La Hoya has not been comfortable. Not comfortable in the ring, not comfortable before the fight.
Not comfortable in his dressing room. No smiles, and that's not really his nature, though I understand what it's like on fight night for a professional prize fighter. That's the way he gets himself ready to fight. It's all business in the ring, and it's a dangerous sport. right now he's on the receiving end of the speed of Pacquiao with a minute gone in the 5th round of the fight. Oscar just pouring with the jab, not really stepping up into it, not throwing the left hand to the body with any viciousness at all. And look at Manny. Look at the amount of punches he's throwing, Dave.
And the power. Here's a guy that's come up from 106, and he's a legitimate welterweight power puncher here.
Actually heavier. Listen to the crowd's reaction as Pacquiao scores. Tony Weeks, the 3rd man in the ring, hasn't had to do much because these guys are not clinching. They're boxing and fighting. Manny Pacquiao, you know, is considered a fighter as opposed to a boxer. But what a boxing match he's putting on tonight. Look at this.
He has been terrific moving up. Meantime, Oscar De La Hoya has not looked good coming down. This is not a comfortable weight class for him tonight. And he is just not the same Oscar De La Hoya we've seen in terms of the fire, and Manny Pacquiao is capitalizing on it to this point.
Well, Pacquiao, with 2 minutes gone here in the 5th round, is certainly winning the 5th round, and he may have won every round. I gave De La Hoya the 3rd round, but you know, it was very close, and we pointed out at the time that there are some judges who could have gone the other way in that one. So Oscar finally plants a right hand to the body, then upstairs, and now he finally starts hitting Manny, and all that seems to do is get an adrenaline flow for Pacquiao. But that's all Oscar's done in the entire 5th round of this fight.
When do you see him eat so many jabs?
I've never seen him eat so many jabs.
Nope. He has gobbled up a lot of them from Pacquiao in this fight.
In losing efforts to Bernard Hopkins, to Mayweather, twice to Shane Mosley, and Felix Trinidad, he didn't look this bad. Another Pacquiao round goes in the books for me. I have it 49-46, and it could be as much as 50-45.
And it even seems wider than that, the way the fight is being contested. Oscar De La Hoya looks exasperated.
Good boy. Off the ropes. You don't belong on the ropes. Don't get lazy and play. All right? Stay focused in the middle of the ring.
Slow it down.
All right? Deep breath.
See, just one or two
fight's in the middle of the ring. Okay?
Points that Freddie continues to make. Don't get caught up against the ropes. You feel your back touching the ropes, get out of there. And don't get overconfident with this guy. Stay focused. Freddie Roach knows exactly what Oscar can do, and he knows exactly what his man can do. This is round 6. MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. The Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. Manny Pacquiao in red to the right of your screen with the red shoes on. Oscar De La Hoya must open up and start landing some power shots, or he's going to be outboxed for this entire fight by Manny Pacquiao. Most people thought De La Hoya would knock this guy out. A lot of people thought inside of 6 or 7 rounds. And Pacquiao is just totally outboxing. And if the fight plan engineered by Freddie Roach is what Pacquiao's trying to do, he's keeping Oscar right in the center of the ring. Oscar is not willing himself and pushing this guy back and making him back up.
He's fighting with a tentative nature. He's aiming his punches. He's guiding his punches. He just has to let it go. And sometimes you go in there and the other guy will just be faster than you, a little bit stronger than you. And Oscar De La Hoya will have to just throw caution to the wind because the scorecards are pretty soon not going to be issued for him.
Oscar's left eye closing up with that jab and the left hand following it. And now here he tries to exchange it, Manny. Nothing that he throws lands, and Manny touches him up. Oscar had his left hook that time blocked in the elbow by Pacquiao. So nothing really working for Oscar. Even when he opens up, Pacquiao is landing more shots.
And there's Pacquiao with 2 and then a left hand down the middle, and we're used to Oscar De La Hoya standing and taking his shot when the guy comes at him, cutting him off with the right hand, cutting him off with the left hook. But tonight, the speed of Pacquiao on the inside continually disrupts the momentum and the rhythm for Oscar De La Hoya.
And Freddie won't allow, Freddie Roach that is, won't allow Pacquiao to allow himself to get caught in up against the rope so Oscar can pin him down and unload 4 or 5 right hands on him.
Look at the patience here of Pacquiao. 3 nice shots, you load up again. 3 nice shots, you load up again. You don't lunge, you don't go for what's not there. The right hand lead for Oscar De La Hoya. We've seen it on a handful of occasions tonight, and that's all.
Is this the night that Oscar gets old?
So far, the answer would be yes.
Well, you know, people talk about the southpaw style of Manny Pacquiao, but he's known he's fighting a southpaw. He handled Floyd Mayweather with better ease than he's handling this guy.
Yeah, he's been a split second behind, and then the quick feet of Pacquiao have put him at good angles where he can launch an attack. Probably the most surprising part of this fight is how Pacquiao has maintained his speed and still has good power at 147.
And then he moves, bounces right, bounces left, doesn't let De La Hoya cut him off, and the bell sounds to end the 6th round, another Pacquiao round. Well, right now, as I look at my score sheet, Oscar De La Hoya almost needs a knockout, or at least knock him down a couple of times to win this fight.
And it's just a distant consideration for him right now.
Rematas al cuerpo, tiras arriba y rematas al cuerpo. Así te va a pegar menos que como estás paradito. Tírale, ponle presión porque anda agotado de los pocos golpes que le diste al cuerpo.
Sit down. You keep the fight in the middle of the ring. You keep boxing and turning them, okay? All right? Now here.
Here's Pacquiao. Double jab, straight left hand through there. You just don't see Oscar De La Hoya taking 3-punch combinations like that. It is Pacquiao's night.
And Oscar's, I look across the way, sitting on his stool, looks almost like a beaten fighter. Well, his corner said, come on, you got to take the fight to him and start landing some right hands, throw some right hands anyway.
You know, he knows it, but whether you get the body to do that, whether you take advantage of those split-second opportunities is a different story.
You know, he threw the right hand that time with kind of the thumb out and the palm up. That's not the way you throw a power shot with your right hand. Pacquiao continues to bounce around up on his toes, and he's been this way. You know, if his fight plan was to fight the first minute of the first round and then the second minute and then the third minute, he's done exactly that in every single round, which is what he said he had to do and what Freddie Roach said he had to do to beat De La Hoya.
And then the other thing that we talked about is that he had to do enough in the power department to make an impact, and he has. He has outfought Oscar De La Hoya in the power department by a ratio of about 3-1.
And then Freddie Roach also telling Pacquiao, don't lose concentration and allow this guy to sneak back into this fight. Oscar again tentative with the left hand, so what does Pacquiao do? He cracks him with the right hand. He's working on that left eye of Oscar De La Hoya and has it almost shut. Oscar not getting off right hands, and he looks like he's almost shell-shy right now, the way Manny's attacking.
And this has been the fight since the beginning. Pacquiao's power bothering Oscar De La Hoya, and Pacquiao gets off first. You don't see De La Hoya on the ropes like this.
And it was the corner of Pacquiao, namely Freddie Roach, saying don't get caught in the corner. Now De La Hoya's caught in the corner. And look at this guy go. Minute 15 seconds ago, and De La Hoya's in trouble.
He can't get off these ropes here.
He should be sliding down the ropes or grabbing this guy. Nothing is working for Oscar. Manny's punishing him right now. Oscar's heels are heavy. He's heavy in the thighs. His legs aren't there. Manny continues to put the pressure on him. Pacquiao knows he's got him a little bit stunned. Oscar really slow with his jab now. The back up against the ropes, and Manny's on the assault. Tony Weeks having a good look at Oscar De La Hoya. Look at the legs ready to go. Oscar De La Hoya. Manny nailed him with the right hand. He's all over him right now. Oscar's hurt. Pacquiao pouring the pressure on. Finally, Oscar steps away. And that left eye is really closing up. This has been a great round for Pacquiao.
And there will be a big decision made in Oscar De La Hoya's corner, both about the eye and about his presence in this fight. He needs to step up.
Inside of 10 seconds to go in the 7th round.
If there's another round like this fight will be over.
Well, I don't think Oscar can take another round like this.
42-6 power punches for Pacquiao
How you
that
doing?
round.
You want to keep on? Huh?
What's punishment, dude? That's why I have to stop this shit.
Look at that eye as Nacho Barristan works on him.
Vamos a parar la pelea. No tiene caso que esté recibiendo golpes así impunemente. ¿Lo viste?
Okay, you gotta fight back now.
Ahí estuvo ya,
Tony Weeks says, hey, you got to fight back now. So Tony's having a look at stopping this fight.
Take a deep breath, then you know. Take a deep breath.
They will be taking a real close look at stopping this when, look at this action. Pacquiao, 3 shots. And when do you see Oscar De La Hoya stand back and take stuff like this? And yeah, because of his legacy and what he's done, they're letting him have another round, and he has to take advantage of it now, or there may not be another one.
Well, they talked about history in the making and comparing this guy to the great Henry Armstrong, who won 3 world titles in 3 different classifications. Just the fact that Manny Pacquiao has come up 2 world titles in 2 different classifications, fighting this one, even though it's not a world title fight, to beat Oscar De La Hoya the way he's doing it would be significant.
And Oscar, a guy that barely stopped at 135 on the way up here and then jumped 2 more. And he's making himself look as good at 147 as he's been anywhere.
Now, Oscar hasn't been able to get off. He hasn't been active because of the movement of Pacquiao. Pacquiao's been on his toes the entire fight, and Pacquiao's had more power than Oscar. I mean, it's been all Manny Pacquiao tonight.
We have never seen Oscar De La Hoya in as tentative a position throughout as he's been here, and he has to try and summon 1 last ounce of something because he needs it now, and Pacquiao still stands and slugs with him after getting hit.
Now remember that Oscar De La Hoya has been a great champion, and one big hand could change the course of this fight, but it's a stretch right now in the 8th round as he continues to get outboxed by Manny Pacquiao. Oscar needs to do something sensational, and he's got to do it with tremendous power if he's going to pull this fight out now. The great fighters can do it, and he certainly has been a great fighter throughout his career. Let's see if there's one more miraculous move in Oscar De La Hoya. As I say that, Pacquiao pours the pressure on him, and this might be the miraculous finish of the career of Oscar De La Hoya. Pacquiao really labeling him and blasting him with left hand, right hand. Oscar's got to get out of the corner. When he feels the ropes, he needs to do what Freddie told Manny, and then slide down the ropes and get out of there. This is no place to fight this guy.
He's spending more than half the round on the ropes now out of fatigue and out of being shell-shocked.
The chant goes up, Manny, Manny, as the crowd turns in favor of Pacquiao. The left eye of Oscar De La Hoya is practically shut, and now he's working on the right eye of De La Hoya. Nobody's been down. De La Hoya's been shaken on a couple of occasions, especially in the last round. For the first 2 minutes and some of this round, it's been Pacquiao outboxing him again, forcing De La Hoya back to the ropes. Feigning as everything that Freddie Roach has told him to do, he's executed.
And we've seen De La Hoya again on the ropes with the sanctuary. No place to win a fight.
And look at that. Just as Freddie told him, he walked right back to the center of the ring. And now this is one thing that, again, the corner of Pacquiao, they don't want him to hot dog it. Finish this guy off if you can. Don't mess with this guy. And the power shots are right downstairs. And look at Pacquiao, battle to the end of the 8th round, trying to stop Oscar De La Hoya in his tracks. But that ends the 8th, another Pacquiao round. Well, if we were wrong in the 3rd round, slightly giving that to De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao's won every other round in my score sheet.
That looked a little better.
Hey.
Do you have a headache?
No se siente nada.
Oscar.
No siente nada.
Oscar.
No tiene nada.
Do you have a headache? Are you dizzy?
Huh?
Do you have a headache?
Okay, listen. No. Listen. If you keep taking punches, I'm stopping the fight. Okay?
Well, you heard Tony Weeks say if you keep on taking punches, I'm going to stop the fight. So I would say that you might be seeing the last round in the career of Oscar De La Hoya.
To the point where the first time Pacquiao gets De La Hoya in trouble, that might be it.
Well, Tony Weeks flat out said, I'm not going to let you take any more head blows. He knows he's 35, and it's all over. The fight is stopped. It's all over. De La Hoya can't answer the bell for the 9th round. It'll go as a technical knockout victory after 8 for Manny Pacquiao. An upset, a huge upset. A tremendous victory for Manny Pacquiao. Now on the horizon, a huge payday. Probably in the spring, probably in the UK, probably against Ricky Hatton,
who just happens to be here tonight. And what a moment for Manny Pacquiao, executing his fight plan beautifully, the side-to-side movement, darting in and out. And these guys were not on the same level tonight. This is as fine a performance, wire to wire, as we've ever seen from Manny Pacquiao. We've seen him overcome adversity. We've seen him come back from tough situations, but this was dominant from the beginning of the fight.
Well, if Freddie Roach, from what he said from the get-go, that Oscar can't get off anymore, it certainly looked that way for me from the very opening bell of this fight, that he couldn't get off. And, you know, a lot of that, you got to give the credit to the speed and the fight plan that Pacquiao had for De La Hoya, but De La Hoya looked tentative from the get-go.
He did, when he walked in the building.
Yeah, you said he didn't look comfortable at the weigh-in, walking in the building, in his dressing room, and certainly not in the ring.
And surprisingly, he didn't put on the extra weight to be a bigger fighter where he'd be more natural. He was actually the smaller fighter in here. And when he got into that ring tonight, it just wasn't there for him.
I'd like to know who in the corner of De La Hoya decided whether it was Oscar himself or somebody else, and we probably won't know.
Might have been a ringside inspector, because Oscar De La Hoya had acknowledged to Tony Weeks that, that he would stop it in the next round if there was trouble, and then a ringside inspector went in there right after that, and maybe they just had another opinion that, okay, let's not waffle on this. Let's also remember, Tony Weeks was here with the when Levander Johnson passed away in his fight. He's got that on his mind too. All these things weigh in.
Well, Tony had told him, if you take any more headshots, I'm going to stop it. And maybe Oscar just decided, you know, it's not going my way. Maybe it is time. You know, he talked about he doesn't know when to retire. I think it's time.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't want to go out with a performance like this, but
there was the inspectors talking to Oscar, a consensus, and he came right over and congratulated Manny Pacquiao. You can't remember a time when Oscar De La Hoya got hit so much, and you can't remember a time when Manny Pacquiao got hit so little.
Here's the official announcement.
Here at the MGM Grand of Las Vegas, we turn a page in boxing history as this fight comes to an end. The official time at the end of round 8, referee Tony Weeks calls a halt to the bout. The winner by TKO victory, and still the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, the fighting pride of the Philippines, Manny Pacman Pacquiao.
Well, all in all, just a brilliant performance by Manny Pacquiao, Dave. There's not much more you can say. De La Hoya, whether we ever see him fight again, I don't know, but he certainly had a marvelous career with his 10 world titles, but he just didn't have it tonight.
No, he didn't have an ounce of anything at all had gone from him. He looked like a guy who had lost too much weight to make weight and then had nothing left. Pacquiao was practically flawless in this performance.
Well, we mentioned before the fight, we've seen guys come in with cut bodies, but that doesn't translate to being able to get off with punches. And if anything was clear to me from, you know, the first couple of rounds right away, that he just couldn't get off. And look at the very end of the fight where Pacquiao is just...
He's really putting the pressure on at the end of round 8. Almost puts Oscar De La Hoya down. The right eye's closing, and after this, they'll go to the corner. And what they're monitoring is what kind of fight he has left.
Well, it was a classic match. It didn't turn out to be the great classic fight that perhaps we expected, but what Manny Pacquiao was able to do in ending the career virtually of Oscar De La Hoya, no matter what he decides, it sounds like he wants to hang him up, and you know something, he should, because he doesn't need to take any more beatings. He hasn't got anything else to prove. He's making plenty of money as a promoter. He's set for life. So Oscar, I hope he steps down now, because Pacquiao just really took the show away from him.
Well, he is a terrific promoter, and he's had a great run in the ring, 35 years old. I think that he will follow that path. And for Manny Pacquiao, we've seen him in other fights. We've seen other fighters get to him at lower weight classes. He came up from 106, where he was supposed to have trouble, and he looked as good as he has ever looked, especially defensively.
A terrific fight. So that's the story here from the Vice President of the Philippines, who's here, to Bruce McTavish, the Hall of Fame referee, who told me that it would be like New Year's Eve in the Philippines. I'd like to be there tonight, Dave.
Yeah, you know that there's nothing but celebrations in the street right now. That the Filipino people, also very wonderful people, and they're enjoying a tremendous moment right now from a great fighter who had one of his all-time performances.
For you folks, once again, Manny Pacquiao, an 8th-round technical knockout upset victory over the great Oscar De La Hoya. It'll be a great night for these people, the Filipinos in Las Vegas and the Filipinos back in the islands. Congratulations to Manny Pacquiao and all. Pacquiao in a dramatic 8th-round technical knockout victory at the end of 8 rounds over Oscar De La Hoya. So for Dave Bontempo and our entire staff, I'm the Colonel Bob Sheridan saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody. So long from Las Vegas, Nevada.